Hello, YouTube, and welcome to the In Your Head podcast. I am your host, Jesse, and this is our Making It Legal episode of the podcast, episode 21. And with me on the podcast today, my guest, Alex Pearlman. Alex, how are you, sir?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a
I was
pleasure,
a little
sir.
disconcerted that you called it Making It Legal. I was like, whoa. What does that mean?
No, I tried. I don't get too
Because
deep.
it's episode 21, right?
21,
You telling
that's
me
it.
beforehand.
Yeah.
It's still, without context, it feels real weird. Like, what are we making legal? Is it pictures? I hope not.
No,
All right.
no. I keep that crap off my phone.
Okay. Off your
So we're
phone?
good.
Your phone specifically? That's where you keep it off of, just the
Yeah.
phone.
No, just the phone. I got so much firewall on the computer and shit here. I'm not worried about whatever's on that.
Oh, God. And now I'm on video on YouTube being in this house.
Well,
This is how they took down Jared.
Well, if you have anything to hide, you shouldn't have came on this podcast.
No.
unfortunately.
I'll be good.
Most of the guys have been, which leads into the intro question here, the statute of initiation, which everybody brings. So
Yeah.
most people haven't brought anything terribly incriminating, which is good. But
Yeah, you mentioned that to me.
some kind a good fun story is what we're looking for. Something that you might not be proud of that was marginally illegal.
Okay. I bootlegged alcohol and cigarettes for like all through college.
Wow. Okay.
So basically what I would do is I lived in South Carolina. I went to the University of South Carolina for a couple years. And what I would do is I would buy cases of Yingling up here. Like when I was like 19, 20, I would buy a couple cases of Yingling and I would drive them down to South Carolina. Because you couldn't get Yingling in 2002. They didn't sell it in South Carolina. They didn't have a brewery down there.
Yeah,
it was real local to just Northeast. And I would only sell it on Sundays to people from the North. Because you couldn't buy alcohol outside of a bar on Sundays in South Carolina due to blue laws. So I would sell the cases of beer that I bought for like $15 a case. I sell them for like $30 or $40 a case.
Nice.
And then I would take the money that I made from profit from that, and then on the way home, I would buy cartons of cigarettes in North Carolina for like $12 a carton, and then sell them back here for like $50 a carton, which was still like $30 cheaper than the market price. So I was just like turning that hand over fist, which is why like after a year and a half, my mom's like, "What did you learn in school?" I was like, "I've learned I hate taxes." So like that's probably, I mean, I've definitely done worse things, but nothing I will admit to. That's the one thing my mom always taught me. She said, if you don't never admit to anything on camera or in a letter, because those can be used against you in court.
Yeah.
No,
that's the most lucrative I think we've had on here. That's a good one.
And it's not like I was moving like 100,000 cartons of cigarettes. It was just I bought like 5, 6, whatever the legal amount is. That's the exact amount I bought.
Yeah, no,
and then I sold them to children.
No, most of the stories have involved alcohol. I've noticed most of the stories, some underage drinking stories we've had, which were funny. Some were legal drinking, but which I believe was Cody's. Cody's was legal age, but yet they were. I think he was trying to pretty much deforest an island, if I was correct.
Okay.
They were looking for a drinking spot, and they went and deforested an island.
They cleared an island out?
Essentially,
just to have a drinking
just
spot.
to have a nice secluded drinking spot. And
okay.
Gotten a little bit of shit for that.
Well, the one thing they say is with underage drinking and marijuana, pot, like that is most people's gateway to criminality in some way, because I think Mark Twain said it, if there's a law, if you break a law you don't respect, then there's no laws you'll respect. So just by having like underage drinking was something that I always thought was kind of weird, because I find that especially people in their early 20s, when they show up, to even the open mics and clubs and stuff like that I'm performing at, it's the really young people who don't understand how to drink. And
that's for sure.
The ones who were like kind of fuck ups earlier and had like, or at least had some sort of social drinking before that, they're usually a little bit better off. So they seem more mature. Those would be like the 25-year-olds. You're like, oh, they're a little bit more mature. They kind of understand to not like open the night with tequila.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But it's the same exact thing with that I find on the flip side of that is when I meet psychopathic 35-year-olds are typically like doctors or lawyers or people who spent their entire college experience without ever going crazy. So when they get to a certain age, like 35, 40, they get divorced or whatever, like their whole life falls apart because they start trying to do what we did in our 20s and late teens.
They didn't get it out of their system.
They didn't get it out of their system, but it's not even so much a matter of getting out of their system. It's like everyone's been at a party where something's happened, or like you've been in a situation where something's happened where you're like, oh, this is a learning experience. So they never learned beyond. The only reason that they hadn't gotten in trouble is just because they hadn't done it yet.
Yeah.
Not because they won't do it, because they know from experience like this is bad. So that's why a lot of guys like get DUIs when they first get divorced, especially if they married young, because they've always had someone else controlling them.
Right.
So I'm lucky in the fact that I fucked up a lot real young, and learned pretty quickly from a lot of it. So
well, it's turned you into a pretty good guy. I mean, we've seen you. I mean, from what I've met. I've heard some stories, but they don't seem to end with handcuffs. Most of the ones I've heard.
No, which has always been good. I fucked up a lot when I first started doing comedy because I started when I was 18. So luckily, everyone who remembers me from back then, there's like 3 people who still perform out of the hundreds of people I met when I started performing in 2002. That most people won't remember, like the guy who I was. Like I remember I used to show up at open mics wearing I used to wear like a long black duster, trench coat, and I would show up and people were like, "Does he have a gun under there?" And it's like I didn't. I don't own guns, but like, people were just always like confused or like a little bit concerned. Like at any point in time, this dude could just open up, and I was like, no. But yeah, and that was we're talking about 16 years ago.
Yeah. Wow. So you've been doing comedy that long?
Yeah.
I was gonna ask that, but that leads into it. So
yeah.
So you've been doing comedy for So it's one of the longest that I think I've had here on the show. So what got you into it though? What got you to say at 18 like this is what I love doing?
Well, I didn't love it then.
Okay.
I was home from college my first year, or about to go to college. I can't remember which side of it was.
Okay.
I was pretty fucked up at the time. My dad and I were having like a real heart-to-heart conversation, and he was trying to be like, what do you want to do with your life? And I was like 18. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Who knows? Yeah, I still don't know. And my dad was a company man. So like he worked for DuPont. He got his doctorate when he was super young, and like he's a chemist. Like he always knew he wanted to work in chemistry, all that different type of stuff. Like he was never a wanderer. He was like, this is the path. You go to the company and you work for the company for 35 years. They give you a watch and a pension. And then like soon after this conversation, like they sold his division off. Like he doesn't have a pension, like all this other different shit. So I'm sitting with him and he asked me what I want to do with my life. And I always had this vision, like this, not vision, but like a dream of performing at a big theater in front of a, like the old school 60s red, like the red curtain.
Yeah.
Like the big, heavy velvet red curtain and a spotlight on me and like coming through the curtain like that. And I'd watched like a lot of Robin Williams at that time. Okay. There was like some videos of him on Comedy Central from the 70s, like doing live performance and stuff. So I just blurted out, like, I want to be a stand-up comedian. And so he was like, all right, well, then go do that. Because his thing was, he figured I'd do it, I'd fail, and then I'd become an accountant. Like, I could tell. Like, that was his thought process. Because he's a liberal. And liberals are like, liberal ideas is let the person do it, and then they'll come back and admit they're wrong. That's a big thing in liberalism. Like, conservatives will stop you from doing it because you're wrong. Liberals will let you do it to prove you're wrong. So that's 100% what his idea was. So I got on Yahoo because Google wasn't even big yet. Oh, and that's how long ago this was. Like, Google was just starting to break.
You're making me feel old, man.
So I typed into Yahoo how to become a stand-up comedian. And Yahoo came back was like, go to an open mic. So I typed in open mics in my area. And I didn't even know what an open mic was. And I discovered there's one in Northeast Cabaret in Northeast Philly. So then I went on MapQuest and looked up where that was. It was like an hour and 15 minutes away. So I put on a suit and I drove to my first open mic and I bombed. I bombed so bad because I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea what I was doing. None. I had no personality. I had personality and stuff like that, but like I didn't know what that meant.
Well, how much prep did you put into it before your first mic?
I put on a suit.
Okay.
That was it. I put on a suit and I got on stage. I was just like, because at that time I really liked Eddie Izzard. Like I said, Robin Williams, Jonathan Winters, Bill Cosby. They're all guys who I didn't realize, and you don't really realize. Now we know. Now we know from watching WTF podcasts like this and other things, interviews with comedians, how much work goes into each joke.
Right.
But back then when I was a kid, I was like, they just get up and say funny things. So I got up and just said funny things because I thought that was comedy. Like legit. That's what I thought.
I hear you.
That's what I did. And I showed up. I did that. It went terribly. And it wasn't even, I didn't even get booed. Nobody heckled me. Nobody did anything. They just stared at me indifferently. Then I walked off stage, and then the host was like, "Yeah, it's his first time." And then one person was like, "Meh." That was it. That's what I remember.
Wow.
And a guy at the bar said, "You were funny." I was like, "Up there, you didn't laugh." And he was like, "No, not up there. I mean, like just here, hanging out at the bar area. Like out here, you were fun." He's like, "You need to figure out how to do what you do out here, up there."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Whatever, dude," because I didn't listen to the guy because that guy's act was he literally had a bag of wigs. And he would put on a wig and then do like a racist impersonation of somebody. It was 2002, so he was doing like the fucking eye thing and the whole deal.
Wow!
Like he went on stage with masking tape. Like I was like, no, this isn't good.
Yeah, no.
like it'd be like Jackie Chan. I was like, oh shit! And that was the guy. Was the first guy to try to give me advice. And
wow.
but that was the thing. What was important though is I failed. And I had never outright failed at anything in my life before. I've always been like smart enough to get like a B-. I never straight up failed. Yeah. So I was like, so it pissed me off. So I kept going back and kept going back. And I would never had a fear of public speaking. I just was like, I went 6 months in, I finally got a laugh. But I didn't know why I got it. So then I spent the next 2 years trying to get another laugh. Like my first 3, maybe 4 years in comedy, like legit people who know me from back then, when they see me now, they're like, oh, like you got good. I'm like, I don't know. I got better. Got better. I'm never going to say I got good, but I'm better than I was because I had to have life experience had to hit me. There's a bunch of different shit. Like one of my big fears when I was younger was to, break too early. Cause you see that happen all the time with look at Logan Paul. Yeah. Right. You got a guy like that who he breaks, and he doesn't have the life experience, the knowledge, or the ability to keep up with the audience he has. And so we're always, he's always about 3 weeks away from irrelevancy. Him and his brother. It's really just a matter of 3 bad videos in a row, couple people being and one other a new person showing up, and he's done. Versus somebody like Chris Rock. I just watched his new special on Netflix. Chris Rock hasn't released a special in 10 years. He pops up and it's oh, I watched it. It's one of the best specials I think I've seen in the last couple of years. Yeah. It's really good.
I've heard a lot of people talking real good about it. Yeah.
It's really, really good. But him, Chappelle's the same way, and other guys, they don't have to constantly put out a special. It's because it's when you see one, it's going to be good. You can always also, the old stuff is timeless enough. You can always go back to it. That's why some guys want to constantly be releasing specials because they always want to be being constantly remembered. Yeah. So instead, it's just make a really good thing now, and then kick back on that. But the constant content type of shit that we exist in now is a different story.
Yeah, I remember specials back more in the day when you talked about comics like Robin Williams, Eddie Izzard. When they would release a special, it was a big deal.
Yeah, well,
it was a big thing. It wasn't just okay, they released one today, they're going to release one next year.
Well, it was pre-Louis. Louis forced that on us. Beyond other things he forced on people, but
glad you said it because I was going.
Yeah. No, but he did this whole big deal about the 1 year special, and then everyone sat around and was like, I gotta make a new special every year. It's dude, no, you don't.
Yeah, because
I mean, honestly, there's some of these guys I watch, the ones who tried to do this 1 year special. It's some people can do a special every year. Some people, look at Jon Stewart or Stephen Colbert. I mean, arguably, they're basically doing the equivalent of a special once a week.
Yeah.
Trevor Noah, guys like that, just in the amount of material they're doing. Now, they're also doing it on a variety show basis. My leg's falling asleep from my wallet. They're doing it on a variety show basis, but the material they're constantly doing and constantly going over, they're also throwing out stuff. I heard a great quote about Johnny Carson, and it was Johnny Carson treated The Tonight Show like a baseball season. Where it wasn't a matter of the fact if you hit the ball at it didn't matter if each show was great. It mattered if the season was great. Yeah. So if you look back on the year, Were most of them winners? Sure. Did some of them stink? Yeah. Because when is the show? When's the show done? Like Saturday Night Live. Saturday Night Live is done. They're done writing it at 11:35 that Saturday.
Yeah.
There's sometimes you watch Saturday Night Live, you're like, how'd that make it to air? I was like, nobody had a better idea.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only reason. And it's the same exact thing with a lot of these guys. So, like, if you start putting these imaginary timelines on yourself, like, I have to put out a special every year. Dana Gould hadn't had a special in, like, 15 years? I think he just finally put one out, like, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But he was writing for The Simpsons. And Dana Gould's one of the greatest writers of our age, like, comedy writers of our age. Like, he doesn't have to. And I'd rather wait 10, 15 years between than sit there and watch a middling one every year and being like, okay, well, this album came out, or this special, because that's what we do now. We do specials instead of albums.
Yeah.
But it's like this special came out. There's a good 10-minute clip somebody pulled together on YouTube about how Bill Burr hates feminists. We'll put that together and pull it out of context so it means something completely different. Put that shit up. And then that'll be the big clip you remember from that. It's like, no, it doesn't. You don't have to do that.
Yeah, and it's actually funny because the last episode, episode 20 with Chris Stenta, for anybody who watched it, we talked about something really similar, saying how comedians they're not, or almost anybody who's not focused on an art form, they just want to keep making something. They just keep making something, but it's not quality. They don't care.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, you make that special, but you hone it. You have to hone that edge and just keep honing that thing and honing it down. Now, the real perfectionists are still going to think it's never perfect, obviously, and a lot of them are. But to see somebody who just keeps wanting to hone it down, and that's what you had back in the day, as opposed to somebody who's just going to crank it out just to get paid.
Yeah, well, and it's our attention span is so diminished from even when I began. So I remember when I started, you could do a political joke could last a month. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I could do a political joke about George Bush and a George Bush scandal, and it could last a month. I could do that. I'm like, that joke maybe has a month. If it's a really good scandal, it has a 3-month. Like now, like I've legit watched. Remember Covfefe?
I heard about it. I didn't actually get in the middle of
this. President Trump tweeted Covfefe, and he clearly hit send early. That's it. That's what happened. He was typing. He meant to write like conviction or something. He meant to say some word. And
it auto-corrected or
no,
or didn't auto-correct. And,
or it auto-corrected, and then he tried to backpedal the auto-correct. Something happened, and basically he tweeted gibberish.
Right.
And everyone went crazy. But within like a day, we had completely forgotten about it because 9 other scandals had happened. 16 other people have been, like 4 mass shootings had happened. Syria is exploding. Like at this point, there's so much news and there's such a continuity to the world, and we're so interconnected that at any moment in time that we can't focus on any one thing to really like hammer it down. Like this whole time, people keep complaining about the Mueller indictments and how long it's taken. It's like, no, that's how long things are supposed to take. Like people forget like the Clinton impeachment and all that shit. Like that was from 96 to like 99. Yeah. Like that was 3 years. And we all knew he did it. Like everybody knew. Like it's like he cheated on his wife. There's something having to do with Whitewater. There's a bunch of other shit that's going on here. He lied about sex. Everything he did, he did. But like legal shit is supposed to be slow. It's supposed to be slow and plodding. And the current we've created an entire society based around 18 to 35-year-olds. That's the number one demographic we want.
Yep.
And right now, being at the end of it, I'm 33.
I know,
you're
I'm
35. We're right here
there.
we're right here at the end of the our golden age of mattering to fucking advertisers.
Yeah. Actually, I won't matter by the time this airs because my birthday's in the middle of March. So by the time this airs,
you don't even fucking matter anymore.
I don't matter. Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it was good run, folks. Thanks for watching the Eat Your Head podcast.
But I'm saying though, but when do we start to slow down a little bit and want to take a step back? And it's after that.
Yeah.
And it's because we like worship youth, and the youth right now, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. They have a much faster attention span.
Oh yeah.
They turn on things faster. They make split-second decisions, and we don't take the time to like take a step back.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the big difference. But the one thing that really struck me about it is I watched the Richard Pryor show. He had an NBC series. It was only like 4 episodes long, and I was watching it. And it's from the 70s. And it's on DVD. And There's like one sketch. It's like a 9-minute sketch. It has one joke. It's at the very end. But you have to watch all 9 minutes to get to the joke. And if you do that, it's worth it. It is so worth it. And I'm like, this would never fly today. Number one, because what happens the second you turn on a sketch? Like, unless you know, like, a series like this, that you know they're longer. When you turn on something, especially like a sketch that's trying to go viral, the first thing everybody does is look at the timestamp. It's the first thing you do. The first thing you do, you look in the corner, it says 3 minutes. You're like, I'll give him 30 seconds because I'm not dedicating 3 minutes because there's better content out there.
Yeah.
There's an everlasting feed that is coming. Just
yeah. Oh,
there's an everlasting feed. So So like that's the first thing I do. I know that for a fact is like I'll open up a YouTube video and I look in the corner and if it's 13 minutes, then you better get me right now.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things out there that's going on. There's so many different stuff. Now, I've noticed some YouTube videos are getting longer, but I remember when YouTube was first starting out, like it was like a minute and a half. That was your max.
That was huge, yeah.
That was huge if you expected me to make it a whole way through a minute and a half video. But now, like if you put out a 9-minute video, even somebody like Richard Pryor, but if somebody like Kevin Hart put out a 9-minute video, it would probably and it wasn't great, right? We're saying it's good. Yeah. It's good. It's fine. It would get like 100K views, a bunch of thumbs down. People would be like halfway through tweeting, I don't know what Kevin Hart's trying to do with this bullshit right now. He's making serious points and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, get to the very end. Get to the very end. It's like, because the clip I'm talking about is Richard Pryor plays like a Kiss knockoff band, plays a full song. It's like a long 70s like prog rock song. He then murders every single person in the theater.
Jesus. He
kills them with machine guns, DDT, throws out pills, all this different shit while this band plays. And at the end, the announcer goes, ladies and gentlemen, Black Death. That's the name of the band. It's Black Death. He goes, Black Death. And there's just silence. Just dead silence. He just goes far out. That's the whole sketch.
Nice.
It's 9 minutes. It's amazing. It's so good. And there's a lot of sketches like that on there, too, which were like thinking sketches. And there's some of the sketches that are on the Richard Pryor show aren't funny. And they do that intentionally. The same way like when you watch Get Out. Get Out, the funny parts of Get Out are extremely funny because there's so much tension and realism and other different things built into it. So the humor cuts the tension. And the tension strengthens the humor because it pulls it so well.
Yeah, that reminds me of my friend's Johnny and the Clown joke that he told me. I don't know if you've ever heard of this one. I think this is something military.
Is it a Little Johnny joke?
It might be where it just kind of you just drag it forever,
like the Aristocrats type of thing.
Almost. I remember, and if you're watching this, man, I'm still pissed about this.
Tell me the joke.
It's a basic joke. It starts out as a kid who loves clowns. The kid loves clowns.
Yeah.
He wants to do everything he can to see clowns, and the story. The idea of it is to drag it out get it as long as possible. Oh fuck that! They ain't paying me.
I know, that's why I'm not trying to show their label.
So, it's like he wants to go to the circus because it's in town. So his mom tells him he has to get better grades. So you drag out the fact that he's studying harder.
Yeah.
And then he finally goes to the circus, and the circus is in town, and he gets the tickets, and he goes. And there's a part of the joke that I'm trying to remember that was hard because the clown brings him on stage and asks him something, and asks him this question. And the clown embarrasses him in front of everybody. And then he dedicates the rest of his life getting mad at this clown. And there's still nothing funny in this joke.
Yeah.
And then you get to the end, and this guy spends his whole life doing the psychology of clowns. A shitty circus comes back to town, and he sees the same clown. He's like the only person at the circus, and he raises his hand to go back down, and the same clown. And at the end of the joke, he just goes, "Fuck you, clown," and that's it. And just leaves it. And that's the build. And it's
it's a Shaggy Dog joke.
Okay.
That's that type of dog. That type of joke is called the Shaggy Dog.
Yeah.
Because it's all this setup. The punch is all this setup, and you literally waste your life.
Yeah.
It's a way to waste your life. And then you have to either get upset like you did, or you laugh because you're like, oh, I just fucking wasted 6-7 minutes of my life.
Yeah, my buddy was really good at dragging this story.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and that's a Little Johnny joke. Little Johnny is a classic bar joke. I used to look him up all the different times. Like there's a great one of Little Johnny goes to his uncle's ranch, right? And his mom sends him there for the summer. And his uncle has this great big ranch, and they have all the different farm hands and all this different stuff. And one day, Little Johnny comes running over to his uncle. He's like, "Oh my God, uncle, yo, guess what? Like the bull earlier, I was hanging out with the ranch hands, and the bull started fucking one of the cows. And he goes, Little Johnny, don't say fucking. He's like, what? He's like, don't. I know you're hanging out with the ranch hands. You're learning some new terms. In polite society, though, we don't say fucking. Just say, when you're saying that, just say you're scaring the cow. Just say scaring the cow. He's like, okay. So after, a little bit later in the summer, the uncle has some Japanese businessmen are visiting because they're thinking about buying the ranch and doing some investments and all this different stuff. So he's there with these very uptight Japanese businessmen and their translator. And the uncle's showing the place around. And little Johnny comes running up. He's like, Uncle. He's like, what is it? He goes, oh, my God, you won't believe it. The bull, he's scaring all the cows. And the uncle's like, no, bull can't fuck all the cows. Not at the same time. He's like, how? He's like, Johnny, that's impossible. The bull can't scare all the cows. And he goes, yeah, he can. He's fucking the horse. And it's so dumb. But there's like hundreds. You can look up. You can go online. I mean, back in the day, I remember going to GeoCities sites and reading just little Johnny jokes. But it's just all those. But it follows the classic in those cases. Little Johnny's jokes are long setups. It's that from the mouth of babes type of idea.
Yeah.
Typically, he's just it's wordplay, and it's that long story turn.
Yeah.
Long story turn. Like. That's every Little Johnny joke. There's another one about him scaring. There's another one though about him him scaring a little girl repeatedly, but like scaring involves like him. He's supposed to be like a 11-year-old. I always pictured him as another character on Peanuts.
Yeah, that's
and
about
so
what I'm
it would be
saying.
like Little Johnny. I think Lucy was the other term they usually used, like for the girl.
It was a girl. Yeah.
I remember there's one about him like repeatedly scaring her in the bushes, but it was like clear again. This is like. She was taught that sex is scaring. It's another play on the same thing. And after like the third or fourth time he's scared her, she's like, come scare me again. And he looks at her dead in the face and goes, boo, bitch. And it's just so dumb. It's so dumb, but like those are the classic jokes I learned. Those were the street jokes I learned in kitchens and bars and restaurants. So like I would, before I had my own jokes, which aren't jokes. Like I don't have like here's a joke. Tell it to your friends. I didn't like Henny Youngman would do that type of shit.
Yeah.
I don't have those types. My stuff is always longer, a little bit more personal.
It's more of a story. For sure, from what I see from.
Yeah. Well, I did win a storyteller award.
Well, there we go.
Yep. And then they got rid of the awards.
Oh,
that's right after I won the award. They were like, never again.
We can't have this shit happen ever. Yeah, I noticed that about your I guess your comedy. It does tend to be a story, and I'm gonna keep bringing him up because I almost do every episode. That's what I love about Kyle Kinane. It's not a joke. It's not a punchline.
I thought you were gonna say Cosby.
No, I'm not. No.
Well, Cosby's. I mean, for everything he did, Cosby is the greatest storyteller comedian of all time.
No, right.
And Kinane follows closely. I love Kinane. He's one of the more modern guys. Him, Mulaney.
Yeah.
For guys who I didn't know before I started doing stand-up, those two are the two that jump out to me the most. Kevin Hart's another one. Kevin Hart's more of a storyteller as well.
Yeah.
And I think to me, storytelling is the best to make sure the joke never leaves the stand-up.
Yeah.
Because if you're telling it from a personal place, no one can steal it. Like, you couldn't pickpocket me and get up and be like, I'm a red-haired Jew. Everyone's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, that's not gonna fly.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But like, I've seen people get pickpocketed, like had their jokes taken and stuff like that. Like, and these days, if you are honestly, if you're writing short jokes, then why aren't you Twitter famous?
Yeah,
you know.
And the only problem is with the stuff you tell is. Or anybody like that, when I try to tell somebody like, "Oh, you wouldn't believe what he said; it was hilarious," and then it's like, I can't do it because
because it's all in context. But also, the one good thing about it though is what you should be saying is like, "Hey, this guy was so funny, you should go look him up and go see him."
Yeah,
that's kind of more, and that's what I need to figure out of how to get to that. So I think my hope is to record an album sometime in the next year. Get some merch together, get cards, just stuff like that to be like, tell people I exist. I was trying to build more of a web presence, but it's difficult. Like same thing with like that Logan Paul shit. Like I made it 4 days into a daily vlog. On the fourth day, my editing software like sneezed And I was like, I'm never doing this again. Like I made this really stupid clip. It was like, it took 4 minutes to shoot. I edited it down. It took me 2 hours to edit it down to a minute and a half.
Wow.
The audio is fucked. It just has this weird warble shows up out of nowhere. Only because I did jump cuts, because I think jump cuts are super annoying. So I did all these jump cuts, and like somehow that fucked up the audio in a way that was infuriating, and I lost my mind. And then like it was like 12:30 at night. I'm trying to fix this thing. My wife's like, just turn it off, go to bed, fix it in the morning. I was like, no, it's a daily vlog, and I posted it. And then I was just like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like that was my next reaction. I was like, this is so dumb, because I was like, at that point too, I was 4 days in, and I was already trying to think of stuff to do. Because I'm like, what am I gonna fucking? Who cares? Who cares what I'm doing every fucking day? Instagram, who cares?
Yeah, I don't have an Instagram. I've got the Facebook page, but like you said, merch. Like this is my big step. I'm trying to do stickers to have like some kind of merch. So I got stickers for people.
Let me see one.
There you go. So it's like, because all I've really got is the Facebook page. So it's the logo down there, with the Facebook address. But it's I see what you mean. You've got to try to have that presence and have something.
Yeah, but you have to have it on every fucking thing. Like you have to have it on. Like if you were to do this and to have a Instagram, like your Instagram would be, you would pull clips from the YouTube of like, here's 30 crazy seconds, and then you'd have to put a splash over it, and then put black bars on the side, be like, when you be like, ha ha ha, cry emojis, bullshit, you know what I mean, like all that stuff.
Yeah, that's.
But at this point now too, when you make content, like we're basically like, YouTube is a day away from admitting that there is no advertising revenue for anyone that isn't like working for ABC. You know, at this point, like YouTube is trying to put TV on YouTube. Like you can pay to watch cable on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's what they want to be. They want to be a cable provider. They don't give a fuck about this channel or any other stuff. Like,
I know.
At this point, they're doing that. Like YouTube's also always worked at a loss. They don't care about advertising for smaller channels or any of the other stuff, much as they claim that they do.
Oh, it's gonna get worse.
It's gonna get worse and worse. But the thing is even if you do create a channel that is, successful up to a certain point. So if you're like under PewDiePie or Jake Paul, or H3H3, right? You're under there, but you're like just above. I want to say, like, remember the Epic Mealtime guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember whatever happened to them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So exactly, but so you're like just above that. Like there's like this weird little area in between where like, oh, you could be consistently making pretty good content that will be freebooted onto Facebook, Instagram, streamable, Twitter, ripped into its own clips, put into its own context, put onto its own thing, watermarked again and over again. So I mean, like at this point, like when it comes to this type of content, that's why I'm kind of glad I didn't make too much web content, because I think in about the next 5-10 years, we're going to have a backlash against web content. I think we're going to have more and more will be about the live shows. It's the same thing that happened with music. You look at music, like Napster showed up with music and destroyed the albums.
Right.
It wiped out albums and like they're decimated. So I think the flip side of it now is the bands that make all the really, really good money now is because they sell their shit and to put a product placement. That's why all music sucks. Or they're really, really good live. That's it.
Yeah, and you got to be good live, and I think that even makes it into comedy, because some guys may be good for a special, but they're not as good live. And I'm glad that some of the guys that I follow, are, and a lot of the guys that I see at Mike's, because that's what a lot of my experience has been lately, is watching some of these guys at Mike's, and to see the different personas of somebody who talks and is a certain way, but then they go on stage and they're different. It's just like totally different. But it's such a shock, and I can see how somebody can not be the same thing that you expect when you go from live to to a recorded thing.
Well, and it depends too. Like there's a lot of Instagram and YouTube celebrities are now starting to get booked at clubs based on the fact that they have 1 million followers or whatever, and their videos get all these views, and they sell out the club.
Wow.
But they suck. That's the thing. Like they suck live, so they have to end up spending. They're not making as much money on the live appearances because they have to pay writers to then write their shit. So like I've seen this happen like pretty recently at a club in Philly. Like they had an Instagram celebrity was just there. It was so clear that her feature is her writer. Like it was so clear because like, and she was basically trying to do his act after he just did it. And it was. I mean, I wasn't there to see it. Someone else was telling me about it, but it's just kind of amazing to me though, because it's like, okay, you do, 5, 6 sellout shows. The crowd, when the crowds will come out, the crowds will come out for a name, right?
Oh yeah,
I saw Pauly Shore.
Yeah, people will come out to see Snooki back in the day. They pay her $100,000 to come to a place
once.
Yeah, well,
that's what I mean though. You see them once.
Yeah.
Once you then pollute that market because now enough people have saw your garbage, so then they don't have to worry about coming back. So like someone like Kinane, who you brought up, is someone who like every time I've seen a different set from him. It's not a different recording. He didn't do a different set because he just recorded an hour and just put out another special. He did a different set because he got bored with his other material, and if he's gonna do this, he's gonna do it for fun. So it's fun for him,
right?
And that's how I always kind of feel about it as well. And I find with a lot of guys, like the ones who are changing up the material because they want to keep it fresh for themselves, that's how you get that more authentic performance. But what you're saying though about different voices, I find that unless someone is aware that they're writing in a different voice and that they're performing in a different voice than who they are off stage, they're bound to fail. The ones who are aware they're doing it, they're going to be fine, because then they'll have to figure out how to write with live with two voices in their head.
Yeah, because I see that a lot, and it's interesting to see the different guys grow. I mean, I've seen a lot of guys start out and grow, and I mean, like for me, it's mostly I don't go up because it's just nerves. I can't. I don't write very much, but
sorry, there's a camera and it's freaking me out. We should, what you should do? You should have the monitor in front of the camera, so that way I'm not looking off to the side the whole time.
It's too wide. It picks it up. I mean, I guess I could bump it up a little bit.
I was thinking about it. You could put it up. You could put the camera up a little higher.
Yeah, I know. I try not to. I just don't even look at it. I pretend it's not even there.
Oh, I know you don't. But this is your 21st time in front of this weird porno you're shooting.
Well, see, I don't even.
How many people do you think have beat off to this video by now?
I hope not many. Not many people have seen it.
Listen, if you're watching this right now, sometime in April, I'm guessing is when this is out.
All right, the end of March.
End of March. So it's a couple months later. You're been here watching it. You're not him. You're not So you're fucking watching this. See if you can beat it to this right now. And then say it in the comments. Just be like, hey, I could make it to completion.
Or you can go.
Don't open another tab either. Just this tab.
Well, there's definitely Brittany's episode.
I don't want him to do it another episode.
No, somebody may have. You said if somebody has.
No, to this episode.
To
episode 21 featuring me, Alex Pearlman.
Okay, well.
And then tell us who you beat it to.
In the comments.
Was it him? Was it me? Bet it was me. You're like, ooh, filling out some fetishes for you. Ooh.
Yeah, I don't fill out many. The skinny 130-pound white guy doesn't do it for a lot of people.
That way. There you go. I want to straighten the head out. There you go. No, I'm talking to the mic like this. All right, ask me a next question. I was working for kink.com at the time. Yeah, you know what ruins those videos? When they interview it at the end to tell you it was all a fantasy. You ever been to that site?
Which one?
Kink.com.
No.
You ever been on Pornhub?
Once in a while.
It's liar.
No, it's not. That's not
your go-to?
No, it's not my go-to.
What's your go-to?
Xvideos.com.
Jesus Christ. I didn't know you were that poor.
It's because it's the only one that doesn't get kicked by my fucking firewall.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I told you, shit on here is safer. Pornhub always brings up all kinds of issues. Pornhub has so much malware and bullshit that it tries to throw on your computer.
You don't just have like ad block and shit up?
I have ad block. That doesn't mean they can't still sneak shit in.
Now I'm learning something.
Yeah. There's a lot of sites that still do it, so even without even with an ad block, you can block ads.
But I thought Pornhub was the good one.
I mean, they say it is, but
that's because they have good PR. They own all the other ones.
Yeah, probably.
Pornhub owns
I think they own all the porn.
Yeah, no, they do. Pornhub owns like RedTube and Porn8 and all the other fucking random ones. Because if you go to the top on Pornhub, they'll be like, hey, more videos. And you go to like more, and it's just every other streaming
all
site.
The other sites that
and they're like, and they all call them part of the Pornhub network.
Yeah. The Pornhub hub, I guess.
Yeah, basically.
It is the hub. I mean, that's the whole thing. There's the hub, and
they own YouPorn.
They own the internet, I guess. I mean, considering the fact that it's not even porn on there anymore. People sneak like, oh, here's a bootleg of Black Panther. Boom, on Pornhub.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just like, they put everything on that site now.
Aaron Nevins had a great joke. Do you know Aaron Nevins?
Yeah.
Yeah, he owns Good. He had a great joke about putting a video of himself with some song. It was like, I don't know, the Cranberries. It was some song like in the background. And it was just him holding a bunch of birthday balloons, staring into a camera for 3 minutes. He said he posted the video on Pornhub. It was up for 3 days before they took it down, but it still got 500,000 views. Because I mean, that shit gets like. There's times where like you go on one of those sites, whichever one, and you go to new, and you look underneath. You're like, how did this already have 17,000 views? It's been up for 13 minutes.
Because there's a lot of people.
There's a lot of
F5
people.
Button.
I do love in Pornhub. They release the charts, the graphs from like the different areas, and like for like the Super Bowl or something like that. Like you'll see like during the Super Bowl, it's like they have the regular. Here's the activity chart, and the Super Bowl happens, drops. Then their team loses, and it just spikes.
Yeah,
it just
like
spikes
here's what happens in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
it's
Philadelphia
like,
that drops even further because everyone's taken to the streets. But it's like fucking New England. It's like, bro!
It's like, holy shit, everyone's. Oh yeah,
that was a great experience too. Chanting "fuck Tom Brady" with 8-year-olds in the middle of Broad Street.
I really didn't even want to try to go over there. I mean, I was in.
No, you're over here, dude. It was safe here.
Well, I was in a party in Egg Harbor.
Okay.
At my friend's place in Egg Harbor, so we were like way away. There's no way I could have gotten to the mayhem.
Yeah. I was in the street with my wife's gun.
I don't blame you.
I was just like screaming, "Fuck Tom Brady!"
God,
it was amazing. Big dick, Nick. Big dick. Like Nick Foles. You know the quarterback who won the Super Bowl for the Eagles. If you go to his Twitter bio, it just says like follower of Jesus Christ, quarterback, father, patriot, or some shit like that. Philadelphia's like, he did it for us. He's got a big dick. Like we're just like we grab onto the one part of his personality he has absolutely no one of.
No,
and we're just like, yeah, your dick is big. You fuck Tom Brady. You fuck him with that big dick, Nick.
Philly has.
Dude,
you know,
did you watch the Jason Kelce speech?
Oh my god, and I loved it.
It was the greatest
thing. I
thing.
loved every second of it. He is a
hero. I need breakfast. I'm pretty fucking pissed off. What?
Well,
he got so many F-bombs.
I tried to watch it live.
You couldn't because they bleeped half of it.
They dumped so much of it. I'm watching it on the TV and I'm just going, "Oh, this is cool."
They should have bleeped him the second he
walked. That's interesting. Why am I looking at the skyline?
They should have bleeped him the second he first thing he grips on that podium. Real quick, pause this and look up Jason Kelce Art Museum speech.
Yeah, if you have
the man is wearing a mummer's costume, okay?
And if you don't know,
and he's on a podium. He looks like an Irish genie, okay? It's like a big genie turban, but there's shamrocks sprouting off of it. He grips his podium like I can only describe as if Mussolini was a drunk Mick. Like he just grabs this fucking thing. He's leaning into it. He cuts the imagine if a city needed an offensive best man speech. Because he goes in on the whole team. He's going in on every single guy. It's like, Nick Foles came back, Carson Wentz from Division 1. It's the whole team. And at one point he just goes, you know what they say about hungry dogs? Hungry dogs is fast dogs. And it was like, sure. And the whole place goes crazy. He then leads 1 million people in an F-bomb fueled rant. Next to the governor and the mayor are just standing off to the side, just like, fuck, whatever, dude.
Let it happen.
They're like, no, I don't care. I don't just fucking anything. Anything to have them stop stealing lampposts for a day. The man was marching up the middle of the street. They had buses for him.
He wasn't on the bus.
He got off the bus. He was just pounding beers and autographing cops. Not even like pizza. He just grabbed a marker. Fuck you, bro. Fucking go Birds.
It was the greatest.
It's the greatest shit I've ever seen. I've never seen something so Philadelphia in all my life. And I want to watch the man fuck a cheesesteak.
I have questions now.
Yeah.
A, was this on Pornhub?
No.
Okay. B, where the fuck was this and why?
It was at a burlesque show.
Oh, man. That answers. Was this the one you were mentioning?
No, it was not. That was bad for other reasons I won't talk about on camera. But the
all right, you said that one was bad. I think
no.
Cheesesteak pretty much puts the nail in most.
No, actually, you know what? Here's the thing. I mean, he was wearing like a thong thing.
Right, just the banana hammock.
Yeah,
right,
he had like a banana hammock, and he fucked a cheesesteak on stage. And I have to say, the pop it got.
Oh.
Like, I mean, the crowd went fucking crazy. And like he just like, and he basically like ate it. He fucked it like it was a big pussy. That was how, because he like ripped open the Amorosa that had whiz everywhere. He just started. And so, that is the second most Philadelphia thing, next to Jason Kelce dressed like a mummer on the art museum steps, leading a million people. In the they don't like us, we don't care. I'm from Philly, fucking Philly. You don't like us, we don't care.
Yeah. That it was epic.
It's amazing. And look for the uncensored version. So now that you've heard it from us, pause it. It's about 5 minutes, 40 seconds long. It's the only way I can get hard. I legit, I put that on, and then I turn to my wife and I'm like, "You trying to get pregnant right now?" And she yells, "No!" and she leaves the house. And then I sleep alone.
It is one of the greatest like improvised on the spot speeches I think I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
That was just, this man was
no script. Everyone else just got up there, was like, I want to praise God, thank all of Philadelphia. Everybody here is great. This is a great team. We're the champions. And Fred's like, woo.
And then he comes up.
He just comes up, oh, let me tell you about underdogs. And it's like, holy shit. What? You want to talk about underdogs? This city's hungry. Like, what the fuck is happening?
And he lost his mind.
Dude. He lost his voice halfway through, and then he comes back.
Yeah.
Much like the fucking Philadelphia
That's right.
Eagles.
You had us down. His voice was down. Yeah. It came back, baby.
He went 4th and down. He goes on. He wins that shit on trick play.
If you have not seen this, please go watch it, for Christ's sake, because it is
Jason Kelce, Kelce.
Yep. And it was
amazing.
It was amazing.
It's amazing.
And even if you
look for it uncensored, don't fucking fall for the censored bullshit. Like I said, it's 5 minutes and 40 seconds long. If it's anything shorter than that, then they're cutting out probably the chant, which is insane.
Yeah, 1 million people on the art museum.
1 million people on the Ben Franklin Parkway.
Yeah.
And the best part was, some of my friends went to the Parkway and they had Jumbotron set up, and then people were like, I remember somebody asked him, like, oh, so you heard Jason Kelce's speech? He's like, I was too far away. I couldn't hear it. I read it on the Jumbotron. Because they were just like, the guy typing is like, fuck it, I'm going to type it.
I don't care. If I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out big.
I'm going out hard. Yeah. The Eagles, trust me, all of those news stations paid that fine. They were just like, yeah. Same thing with, like, remember when the Phillies won the world championship? Chase Utley was like, world fucking champions. And everyone was like, went fucking crazy. Like, Chase Utley's the greatest guy ever. He'll never have to pay for a beer. It's like, no. Jason Kelce just beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
He gave just what can only be described as an expletive-laden tirade.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And yet it was still the greatest thing to see.
It was the best fucking thing. It was the best fucking thing.
He was riding bikes. I think he ended up getting some cop bikes at some point.
I'm not shocked. Dude, I don't care. And all I know is he was dressed like Toad from fucking Mario Brothers.
Doing on an acid trip.
Just fucking losing his mind. It's the best. I wish you could edit in a picture of it right now.
I might have to. I'm having trouble with my editing software, but no, I can pop one in here. I'll have to throw something
pop
in.
It up.
Because it was amazing. For any of my viewers who aren't in the Philly area and you've never seen the Mummers Parade on New Year's Day every year,
it's shit. It's shit, but it's nowhere near the Jason Kelce. I mean, this next year it's going to be huge just because of this moment.
Yeah,
I can guarantee you, because he put pride back in the Mummers, in Philadelphia, in Hungry Dogs. Yeah. Like, that's the thing. I've been obsessed with this Hungry Dogs line.
Can you imagine how many Mummers things are going to be Eagles and other thing related?
How many of them are just going to be pictures of Tom Brady tonguing his son?
Oh, shit. Well, that might be the end of said brigades if that ever happens.
No.
I would love it, but...
No. That wouldn't end it. You kidding me? Some of this shit the Mummers have gotten away with over the years?
If Froggy Carr does it, no one's going to stop them.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, they'll just sanction them. Yeah. Which works as well as it worked on fucking Russia.
Yeah, for anybody else who doesn't know, Froggy Carr, every other Mummers Brigade does a thing. They do a theme. They do make something look cool.
Froggy car, yeah. So like a lot of times, like the different brigades they'll have like a little theme. Typically, in the last 5 years, they've all been Minions related because people from Philadelphia love the fucking Minions.
Yeah.
But anyway, they'll do a different theme. So like sometimes they'll make fun of the mayor or the president or a different thing that happened in pop culture that year or a movie or different things like that. Typically skirting the line of the most racist shit you've ever seen. Yeah. The Froggies, on the other hand, just imagine if every drunk roofer from South Jersey decided to descend on your city, but then yell, "My mum used to live here," and then proceed to pee on everything while dressed as what can only be described as that racist frog emoji that Trump supporters used, but has existed for like 60 years. And they have little umbrellas, and they do this.
And they've all painted their work boots gold.
Yeah, and
you cannot find gold spray paint in the city of Philadelphia or tri-state area.
Nope.
Within a month, either direction.
What's their chant? Who dat froggy frog?
Who dat froggy car?
Who dat? Yeah.
Who that froggy car?
Yeah.
And that's what they do. And there's 900 of them.
They're the worst people.
Phil Broad Street.
Legit, they're the worst people. They're the worst people. These are the same guys who will be like, "Nah, man, all lives matter," but then they fight a cop like at family court. Like, they're like, "What about fuck blue lives? Fuck, cops are out to get me." Like, what the fuck? That was the same thought. I've seen it. They piss everywhere. They piss the fucking January 1st, Philadelphia is just a froggy car toilet that I pay a mortgage in. So fucking dumb.
It's like you think a rainstorm came by the street is
damp
after they come past.
So fucking, and they're men wearing skirts. They're men in dresses.
Yeah.
Calling each other like gay slurs. Like they're just like, yeah, because that's the one thing too. There's a trans core. There's a trans group, and that the Mummers fought to allow it to be in the group for years. And I've realized it now. This year I did. I called the Mummers. The Mummers are Philadelphia's most homophobic gay pride parade. Because the whole reason why the Mummers exist is actually, I think it was the turn of the century. There was all these men were out of work, and there was a tax issue and a bunch of other different stuff. So these guys dressed up, put on their wives' petticoats and dresses, and they went to the street and said, "If you're gonna treat us like women, we're gonna dress like them." That's where the Mummers come from.
Wow.
And somehow it flipped over the years. Until now, we've gone full circle. So then it was like very racist. Like they banned blackface in like 1968, I think. But then they found ways around it because like, all right, it's not shoe polish, it's orange. It's like they did all this crazy shit. But they recently finally have a drag brigade of drag queens.
Oh,
and I think they've been there for about 4 or 5 years now, and they're amazing. And I think the reason at this point now, the reason why the other Mummers hate the drag brigade is because they do it so much better than them. Because they're all men in dresses.
They all have
every single
one
of them.
Same costume.
It's all the same costume.
It's just different colors.
They call it they're called wench costumes.
Wench outfits.
So they're all in these different costumes. But then like out of nowhere, like this year, the theme was super villains, like female super villains. So like that's what the drag brigade was. So it's like there's the sexiest Poison Ivy you've ever seen, and that's just Bill. Like that's just Bill. But then like behind them it's just like, again, 27 people dressed up like fucking Minions. Can we move on to something else? I don't know why we've talked about this for so long.
No, it deserves it. Nobody talks about the Mummers. I don't hear anybody even talk about it. It's fine to get it out there.
Yeah. Chris Hale has a Mummers bit. I haven't heard it yet. He always telling me about it.
Is he one or?
No, it's just a bit about the Mummers.
Okay. Because anybody who is a mummer, and I'm not going to go.
My father-in-law is.
You notice how it's like, I have a couple friends.
He's in a group called the 12 Steppers.
That tells you something.
They're the only sober mummers group.
Wow, really?
They've been going for like 20 years.
Okay. See, I don't even remember all the.
He's been a minion the last 18 years.
That's a surprise. Why does that not come as a shock?
Yeah. But no, they're great. I don't. For me, the idea of waking up at 6 a.m. on New Year's Day and marching in the cold.
Yeah.
Like I'll go out there. I usually go with my wife because we live by Broad Street to go see them. And I'll go out for like typically like 45 minutes. I'm like, all right, I saw it. And then I want to go home. I want to be warm.
Yeah,
because when it's really cold, like this year, it was really, really cold. I had hand warmers, foot warmers, like I've had like warmers in my back pockets.
Yeah,
3 jackets on. It was brutal. It was like 17 degrees outside.
It was tough this
Fahrenheit for all the international viewers.
Yeah, maybe none of them.
That's negative 7 Celsius.
9, something like. Yeah, I don't know.
I just take a random guess. I just negative Celsius. Deal with it.
That's close. Yeah, if it's below 32, just go with it.
Yeah.
But anybody who is a mummer, they disappear in December, because it seems like they have a year to put this shit together. And everybody I knew who's a mummer, they start that shit in December.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. It's like, okay, we got a month to do this. Now we need you 24/7 to be at this place building these floats and shit like that.
But I'm a union roofer. I'm a union carpenter. I gotta be out here protesting with my giant rat because the Chipotle didn't use union labor.
I still never understand how that's supposed to stop people.
Oh, man! You met my daughter. Her name's Percocet. Don't spit on your mic.
No,
I was waiting for you. I was waiting for you to take a sip. I was like, I'm going to see if I can get him to break this fucking podcast. The last episode ever, he spits on the board.
Luckily, I got this at Goodwill, so I'm not attached to it. Yeah,
that's good.
I don't buy the pound, so I paid for it by weight.
Really?
So I must have paid probably 50 cents for this mic, and it sounds like a dream. So I'm like, man, whatever. Was it digital reference? Whatever. That is. So
that's pretty good.
So if I lose,
I have a Shure mic. I paid like $80 for it. It's in a box somewhere at my house. I used to run a mic, and so like the one thing is like they had mics at the venue, but they like every time I got there, like the shit had been beaten out of it by a DJ over the weekend. So the only thing I used their board. And then their board started fucking up, so I hired a guy to run a board. He would bring like a small one like yours.
Yeah.
We just had to get it into the powered amp, and then the amp broke because it was the venue's amp, and I was just like, I'm done. Like that was how I finished. But yeah. So what are we talking about now?